2024 has been a big year for long gestating, self-funded passion projects. Between M. Night Shyamalan's Trap and Kevin Costner's Horizon and American Saga Chapter 1 and maybe 2, these films have ultimately underperformed. Still, I've had high hopes for Francis Ford Coppola's sci-fi fable epic, Megalopolis. Coppola's the kind of director that's always trying to reinvent, try something new, and for most of his career, he's been able to accomplish that quite well. I had no idea what Megalopolis would even be about, but whether or not you like the finished product, it certainly isn't boring. Set in the futuristic city of New Rome, the film follows the feud between Caesar Catalina, played by Adam Driver, an artist looking to build a utopian society, and Mayor Franklin Cicero, Giancarlo Esposito, the greedy and corrupt leader of New Rome. Caught between them is Julia Cicero, played by Natalie Emmanuel, the mayor's daughter, who hopes to bridge the two men. After seeing the film last night, I needed some time to truly figure out my thoughts on Megalopolis, and I've been searching for the right word to describe the experience. A moment ago it came to me. Baffling. Megalopolis is utterly baffling. My thoughts on the film seem to change scene to scene. Francis Ford Coppola has made a truly strange epic as his opus, and it was full of elements I loved and elements I hated. Perhaps that's what genius is, but through the many iterations of this film over the decades, the one we landed on just isn't very good. Megalopolis is ambitious, but it's also overreaching. There are numerous plot lines, a multitude of characters, nearly all of them seemingly in different movies, and some of the strangest dialogue I've seen in any recent movie ever. I get the idea that Coppola has overworked his screenplay, and he was very much needing a co-writer to work his ideas into a more palatable version of this story. Most of his biggest hits had other writers or were at least co-written by others. I think Coppola held this film close to the vest, perhaps too much so, and the finished product suffers for it. It seems that the cast did the best they could with interpreting Coppola's screenplay, but there's some obvious people in front of a green screen effect here that hinders some of the performances. I wish there had been a better focus on practical effects to keep the actors in an environment with real props. The frequent computer-generated imagery often pulled me out of the narrative. The first half of Megalopolis is much stronger than the latter portion, mostly because the film had a better focus on its more compelling narratives. There's a big sequence involving a wedding that seemed to be the narrative focal point, exploding into numerous subplots, but prior to that, I was vibing pretty well with Megalopolis. Lawrence Fishburne narrates the film as Caesar's driver and assistant, and his voice centers the narrative nicely at the beginning. Within this early portion are some truly spectacular moments, like when Caesar is being driven through the city streets and sees the various statues representing the ethical values of society, coming alive and toppling before him. Moments like these worked really well. If the various plot lines of Megalopolis had come together better at the end, I would have been able to recommend it, but the climax of each seems to undervalue and underwhelm, including the main plot of the film with Caesar and the mayor, who both make some odd character leaps near the end that didn't feel earned at all. While these endings had good intentions, I'm sure, nothing in the end of the film makes good on some of the film's better motivations, like Caesar's wanting to have a conversation about the future, something Coppola obviously feels passionate about. Though I was fascinated by parts of Megalopolis, the movie is an absolute mess, filled with some truly odd pieces. Never thought I'd hear Jon Voight talking about having a boner in the same film as Shia LaBeouf paraphrasing Thomas Becket, but here we are. Still, part of me does want to see the film again, though after a time. I really wanted to love this one, but Coppola's taking a number of simplistic ideas and relating them in an unsatisfying narrative, with underdeveloped characters crisscrossing through each other's stories. This will be a divisive film, and one that some may change their minds on over time. But at least at this moment, I was ultimately disappointed. I give Megalopolis a 2.5 out of 5. You can find a written version of this review over at goatfilmreviews.com. While there, you can also find numerous other written reviews for recent and older films. And over here on this channel, you can like and subscribe. That will help support the channel and make sure you never miss new episodes of the show as they drop. Leave your comments about Megalopolis down in the description. And you can find Goat Film Reviews on Facebook, as well as following me personally at Almighty Goatman on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Threads. And you can find my show Kyle and Nick on Film that I co-host with Nick Palatichuk from the St. Paul Filmcast, We have new episodes of that show every single week. In fact, we have an episode of Megalopolis that is available there. You can also check out the link in the description for this video that will lead you to the Minnesota Film Critics Alliance. There you can find other critics' reviews of Megalopolis, as well as more of my stuff as well. Thank you so much for joining me for this video review of Megalopolis, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.